Two suspects are still being questioned and 3 properties are being searched after the terror attack on the Tube. The weekend saw a series of raids and arrests in London and Surrey. Today, more details came out about the 2 men arrested. Both are thought to be refugees who lived with the same foster parents. And tonight, more footage emerged of a man just over an hour before the failed bomb attack carrying a little bag similar to the one used at Parsons Green. Here's our correspondent, Simon Harris.
An impenetrable police cordon in a suburban Surrey street. This is Cavendish Road in Sunbury-on-Thames, now fitted with the sort of steel gates more familiar to the divided communities of Northern Ireland. Behind the barrier, hidden from prying eyes, there are police tents in the front and back garden of the lilac-painted house suspected of being a bomb factory. This is where seasoned foster parents Ron and Penny Jones gave sanctuary to a teenage Iraqi asylum seeker, and where apparently they were visited by police a fortnight ago.
About 2 weeks ago, police turned up, non-uniformed, undercover car, and this time they actually went in and spoke to Penny and Ron, which made me question Saturday night if the house was under surveillance, and if it was, why couldn't something done sooner?
This exclusive ITV News video shows a man near the Cavendish Road house with a little carrier bag on Friday morning. A short time later, he's captured in this video obtained by The Sun in another street nearby, possibly heading towards Sunbury Station. Not long afterwards came the Parsons Green terror attack, when a homemade bomb in a bucket in a little bag ignited but apparently failed to detonate on a tube train. Yahya Farouk was another refugee taken in by Mr and Mrs Jones. Now 21 years old, he lives in Stanwell near Heathrow Airport. On Saturday night, he was arrested outside a chicken shop in Hounslow where he sometimes worked.
He was leaving work and someone was dressed as a beggar and then pounced on him. So it must have been intelligence services that pounced on him, and he was taken swiftly.
Farouk's clothes were quickly wrapped in polythene. Whatever he was suspected of, the police were taking no chances with possible forensic evidence. According to his colleagues, Yahya Farouk gave the impression of a normal student with a part-time job here in the kitchen. There was nothing about his behaviour or conversation to ring alarm bells. Friday's attack left almost 30 people injured, but there was no loss of life. It's increasingly clear luck played a big part. But the Mayor claims government cuts are increasing the risk we face.
The government making these cuts to London, as they've been doing since 2010, by the end of 2020 will have lost more than £1 billion from our Met Policing budget. It's not sustainable.
Tonight, a Scotland Yard spokesman suggested the 18-year-old from Sunbury wasn't known to the police and officers hadn't visited the house in the weeks before the attack. Simon Harris, ITV News.
It seems incredible that anyone would lie about having relatives who died in the Grenfell fire or even lie about living there, and yet this is what appears to have happened. Police today revealed 8 people are now under investigation for trying to personally benefit from the tragedy, which means the death toll could be lower than previously expected. They also confirmed there had been a number of thefts from the flats in the tower and that individuals, as well as organisations, could face manslaughter charges if there's enough evidence to link them to the cause of the fire. Our correspondent Simon Harris reports.
For more than 2 months, the official death toll has hovered unchanged at around 80. In the days immediately after the Grenfell Tower fire, it rose steadily from a handful of victims to the current estimate. Some believe it is in fact much higher. But now Scotland Yard says the disaster might have claimed slightly fewer lives. This is the first time the authorities have suggested the final death toll might be lower, not higher. And one of the reasons given is particularly shocking. Some of the names given to the police may have come from fraudsters trying to claim money for dead relatives. Relatives, it seems, who didn't live there, weren't there, or may not have existed. The courts have already heard one allegation of a woman falsely claiming her husband had died and her child was in intensive care.
We are aware of 8 claims altogether that have been made, varying claims, and I'm not willing to actually go into the individuals of those claims, but 8 claims that we've had altogether that have been either investigated by my team or the Criminal Investigation Department at Kensington and Chelsea. At this moment in time, there are 2 people charged with fraud.
Antonio Roncolato escaped from his flat on the 10th floor. He's sickened by reports of fraudsters trying to cash in.
These are vultures, this is a disgrace, and this is totally, upsetting, really, very, very upsetting. So a disgrace.
The police are also investigating 4 reports of thefts from flats on the lower floors since the disaster, even though the site is supposed to be a secure crime scene. And detectives are now looking at the possibility of charging individuals with manslaughter.
I'd certainly welcome charges against individuals because, I mean, it's not organisations that make these decisions, it's the individuals within organisations that make these decisions. And frankly, fining Kensington and Chelsea Council or Kensington and Chelsea TMO, 2 public organisations, would just be an accounting exercise.
60 victims of the fire have now been formally identified. The pathologists and police teams still have more work to do before the final death toll is confirmed. Simon Harris, ITV News, North Kensington.
Now, the will he, won't he, Sadiq Khan saga took another twist today. The Labour Party has been convulsed by the idea the mayor had been snubbed and denied the chance to deliver a speech at the party conference next week. Well, I'm joined by our political correspondent, Simon Harris. So, Simon, where are we now with this?
Well, Lucrezia, it seems there has been a rethink by the Labour Party or someone in the Labour Party. 2 weeks ago, it emerged that Sadiq Khan would not be allowed to address this year's Labour Party conference. It seemed an extraordinary decision. After all, he was one of the star turns at last year's conference, and he is the Labour politician with the biggest personal mandate in the country. Now, officially, the party wants to give more ordinary members the chance to speak. But there's a suspicion that some Jeremy Corbyn supporters still haven't forgiven the mayor for what he said during last summer's leadership contest.
He's failed to win the trust and respect of the British people. He's failed to organise an effective team. We've seen the EU referendum when he failed to provide the leadership to persuade people to vote to remain in the EU.
Well, today it emerged the committee organising the conference in Brighton has agreed that the mayor should be allowed to speak. Now, we don't know on what day or at what time, and in theory, it could still be blocked by a vote of delegates at the conference over the weekend. As for the mayor, he's said to be relaxed either way, but clearly, after his performance and the applause he got last year, I suspect he would relish the chance to, again, address his party's conference.
Well, perhaps, Simon Harris, thank you.